for more reaction and insight, we now welcome the Chief Rabbi of Kyiv and Ukraine, Rabbi Yaakov Dov Bleich, joining us from Jerusalem. Rabbi, thank you so much for your time on this day. We do appreciate it.
Hello, good evening.
It's nearly 8 months, as you well know, since the start of the Russian invasion. Ukraine has been asking for weapon support for months. This week, Benny Gantz gave an emphatic no. We just heard it in that report due to what he calls operational considerations. How do you feel about this response, that Israel will help in other ways, but not with weapons?
I think that words are cheap. That's what I think. I think that to stand by the Ukrainian people and it's lo tamod al dam reacha, that you're standing by as they're being killed. All of the things that they're doing, they're saying all the statements are worthless if people are being killed, and Israel has the ability to aid the Ukrainians. Again, we're not talking about lethal weapons. We're talking about defensive weapons. Israel, and this is what we heard on the call from Andrei Yermak, Israel is on the wrong side of history here. No matter what relationships were in the past, Israel and Ukraine have a lot in common. There are over 500,000 Ukrainians, Jews living in Israel. There are over 350,000 Ukrainian Jews that were living in Ukraine when the war started, and their blood is being cheapened by the Israeli statement, we stand with the Ukrainian people. I don't think that's what's needed now. I think that what's needed now is action. Action speaks much louder than words. And I'll tell you that it's very disappointing and embarrassing even to us that Israel is not reacting in the way that we think they should be. With the world, they're on the side of Russia, North Korea, Iran. Israel can say whatever they want about Russia. They're concerned, Russia with Iran. But Israel is now on that side, the side of Russia with Iran and North Korea. That's where they are now.
Well, that certainly isn't the view that they would be putting forward. Everyone is aware of the diplomatic stance and the cautious stance that has been taken, particularly when it comes to activities on the security front, when it comes to Syria, and the understanding that Israel has with Russia. That said, I wanted to ask about your visit here in Jerusalem. How do you make this appeal to Jewish leaders, to people who are the decision makers, to try and change their mind when it comes to supplying weapons? Who are you meeting with? What are you hoping to achieve with your visit to Israel right now?
Okay, so first of all, the excuse about Syria with Russia. Russia has taken all of their soldiers out of Syria, taken all of their working weapons out of Syria already. That excuse worked 6 months ago. Today, Russia is a paper tiger being led by a madman, a mass murderer, who is attacking civilians and killing as many people as he can. He's an international terrorist. If Israel still wants to stay with him coming over with the West, the entire Western world, Europe, the United States, and everyone who respects anything and anyone in the world, I think that excuse of security has expired already. What I think is important here in Israel, and the biggest challenge here is that Israel is before an election. And before an election, as you see, Nachman Shai can say one thing, the prime minister now can say another thing, Lapid can say another thing, Gantz can say a third thing, Bibi Netanyahu, who's the opposition, can say a fourth thing. Everyone can say whatever they want, because basically the government now is what we call a lame duck government. They're about to go into elections in less than 2 weeks, and there's therefore no real leadership and someone that is going to and can take a real decision now. At the same time, I think that the public opinion in Israel, that's what the most important thing is, to try and affect public opinion for people to understand what's going on. Ukraine is being attacked. Kyiv is under attack every single day. They're knocking out all of the electric stations, all of the heating stations. They want people to freeze. They're attacking civilians. And it's important for this to get to the leadership. And it's important for the people, especially the Russian-speaking and Ukrainian-speaking people in Israel, because the only television they see is the Russian propaganda television, which puts Goebbels to shame and the Nazi party to shame, and that's what they're seeing. If they should be hearing the true news from the people on the ground, understanding what's happening, how people are being killed, understanding how mass graves are being found in every single city that's being deoccupied from the Russian murderers, understanding that this is not a war against an army, but a war against the people. And I think that, and this is what Mr. Yermak was saying, that after elections, until Israel sets up a government, it may be too late at that time for Israel to come to the aid of the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are going to win the war. They will win. They've won basically already. Now it's a question of just finishing up. But at the end of this war, Ukraine will have won. And the question is, where will Israel be at that time? With Putin, mass murderer, international terrorist, who is totally being sidelined by everyone and anyone, or will they be on the right side of history? It's embarrassing for us as Jews, because we know that during the Holocaust, during World War II, countries that could have didn't come to help the Jews. I'm not comparing this to the Holocaust, but it's embarrassing for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel to be where they are now. That's all I can say.
Natan Sharansky, the chair of the executive board of the Jewish Agency, says he believes being together with Ukraine at this moment is not just a moral obligation, it's in the interest of Israel. You made mention of the public in Israel. A lot of people have shown their support for Ukraine. Very briefly, what message do you have for Ukrainians living in Israel and Israelis supporting Ukraine right now, if they're watching, if they're listening, if they want to make a difference? Very briefly, please.
I think very briefly is that they have to understand that they have a chance to change history with their votes. They have a chance to change history by speaking out to their elected officials and to tell them that it's important for Israel to support Ukraine, not only in words, but also in deeds.
Thank you so much, Chief Rabbi of Kyiv and Ukraine, Rabbi Yaakov Dov Bleich. We appreciate you speaking to us live from Jerusalem. Thank you.